Welcome to another episode of Around the Fire with Boots, where I'm going to be taking a script that was given to me. I'm going to be reading it, reacting to it, giving my 2 cents on it. Like I always say, we'll see if it's worth 2 cents or not, but I got some good things to say every now and then. But let's dig right in, because I believe our topic for today, as I can see the title right from where I'm sitting, is generosity. And I think that has a lot to do with today's age of materialism. So let's dig right in and let's see what we got. I want to take this moment to thank you for being part of our community around the fire here. I want to let you know that if you would like to contribute to the mission here, to sponsor a child in Kigali, Uganda through Maisha Holistic Foundation, or to just allow us to update our equipment, pay for some of the programs that we use to edit these videos and get out there, or for a future mission trip throughout the country, then by all means go to a Ko-Fi page. It's in the link below. It's also in my profile. That's going to allow you to help us do the things we do, allow us to go out and help and love on others, as well as sponsoring children in Kigali, Uganda continuously. If you would like to give to any of these things, just make sure in the note when you give on our Ko-Fi page, hey, I want this to go to Maisha Holistic Foundation. Hey, I want this to go to your next mission trip. Hey, I want this to go to you guys so you can update your equipment. Or, hey, I know you use a lot of programs. This will help with the monthly fees. Put in the note of the donation exactly what it is for. Because again, I want to make sure that if you're looking to donate to sponsor a child here, like we are already doing with Vinny and Trinity, then please let me know, because I want to make sure that that money goes exactly where it is supposed to go. But again, check out our Ko-Fi page on my profile as well as in the description. Thank you so much for taking the time. And again, remember as always, you are loved. I appreciate you. All right, we are back. So jumping right in, let's pick up where we left off. Generosity is often seen as a virtue that transcends boundaries. Religious, cultural, and societal, makes sense. At its core, it involves the selfless act of giving without expecting anything in return. That's huge. I mean, that's the whole purpose of it. As we navigate an increasingly materialistic world, particularly in environments like gaming, where the focus can shift towards personal achievement and material rewards, generosity can sometimes feel like a rare commodity. However, it is precisely in these environments that the practice of generosity can have the most significant impact. This essay explores the concept of generosity, examining its spiritual and secular dimensions, with particular attention to the work of Maisha Holistic Africa Foundation, and how intentionality, community, and purpose can drive acts of generosity, even within a gaming culture. Generosity is a concept that exists across religious and secular philosophies. In Christianity, for instance, generosity is closely linked to the act of giving and sharing one's resources with those in need. One of the most profound expressions of this idea comes from the Bible, which refers to numerous verses that speak to the importance of generosity. In 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 6 through 7, Paul writes, "Remember this. Whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver." All right, we're going to hear what that means. I'm hoping it's going to go into that next, because it matters. It truly matters. This passage encapsulates the essence of generosity. It is not just about material wealth, but about the spirit in which it is given. All right, we're getting into it. The importance of giving from the heart without hesitation is central to Christian generosity. Generosity, according to this text, is an act of free will done cheerfully and intentionally. In a materialistic society, this can be a challenge. Yet it is exactly this cheerful giving that has the power to break the chains of greed and selfishness. So when we're giving, if we're giving it reluctantly, if we feel as though we have to do this, or we're like, okay, everybody else is doing it, We need to do it just to keep up with the Joneses. Well, that's not that's not generosity. That's self-image. That's selfishness. You are doing it because you feel you have to, not because you want to. So it is a key in this instance when it comes to generosity to give because in your heart you truly wish to give and be generous. Because if you do not, there are other things you need to work on. Because without a generous heart, generosity can in an odd way become selfish. Because it becomes more to do with your image, more to do with your feelings, more to do with what you need than it is the people you are giving to, which really negates the generosity in the first place. So it's a very, very good point to bring up. From a more philosophical standpoint, generosity is also seen as a key to personal fulfillment and societal well-being. The Stoic philosopher Seneca, in the letter to Lucius, writes, "Generosity is not giving what you have, but giving what you are. It is not the quantity of the gift, but the quality of the giving that truly matters. The most generous person is the one who gives from their essence, not from their excess." This reminds me, there's a Bible passage. Okay, there's a woman with the 2 copper coins. There's these very rich people in this temple that are giving, and they're sitting with Jesus. There's these rich people that are giving from their coffers, just giving and giving and giving. So much wealth. And this one old lady comes in and gives these 2 copper pieces, which copper pieces at the time were the absolute lowest denomination of currency. Now, Jesus tells these men who are giving just mounds of wealth, that woman gave more than all of you combined. Because she gave all she had, knowing that when she gave this, it was in full faith that that generosity would be given unto God, and that God would then in turn take care of her, as he teaches. Absolutely beautiful story, and that relates completely. It relates completely. Seneca's definition challenges modern conceptions of generosity, which often equate to financial or material wealth. In a world increasingly obsessed with acquisition, his words encourage a shift in focus, urging individuals to give of themselves through time, attention, or service, rather than just material resources. This idea aligns closely with the work of organizations like Maisha Holistic Foundation, where generosity is deeply embedded in intentionality, community, and purpose. Similarly, in his book, The Art of Happiness, the Dalai Lama speaks about the power of generosity. The more you are motivated by love, the more fearless and free your actions will be. The more you are motivated by compassion, the more generous you will become. The Dalai Lama connects generosity to love and compassion, suggesting that the generous spirit is born from a deep sense of empathy for others. In modern contexts, especially within gaming communities or societies focused on material success, this type of generosity can seem foreign. However, by cultivating compassion and love, individuals can learn to transcend the urge to hoard and instead contribute to the collective good. Now, there's something that I thoroughly believe in, especially as a Christian, that God's thumbprint is on everything, both the secular, both other religions, that a lot of these things, like we hear of the Dalai Lama saying kind of a lot of the same things when it comes to generosity. We hear of these philosophers, same concepts, same ideas. And it's absolutely beautiful seeing kind of the world come together where even if we don't believe that we think the same way, God has put his thumbprint on many, many facets of life, whether it's under his name or not. And it's very important to keep that in mind, especially when going through a lot of these texts and going through a lot of these sources that might not be specifically the Bible or a religious text itself. Gaming is an environment that, while rich in community and connection, can also be steeped in materialism and individual achievement. Players often invest vast amounts of time and resource into acquiring virtual goods. We all know about that who are gamers. We all know about that. Improving their personal status or winning competitive matches. In such an environment, it can be difficult to focus on the communal or selfless aspect of life. Now, I'm curious as to where this is going to go, because as a League of Legends player, there are plenty of things you can buy, like skins, rewards, all these different things. All sorts of stuff, chromas. And recently they've been coming out with these like legendary, epic, quadruply amazing skins. Oh my gosh. And you can spend like $250 to $500 on a single in-game cosmetic. Just think about that. I personally feed myself for $200 in a month. Like, that's insane. $500 for an in-game cosmetic. I mean, and I'm an avid League of Legends player, and that seems wow. So I'm curious where this is going to go, because there's a lot, and I think we all can attest to this as gamers, and of those of you who are not gamers who are watching this, it'll be quite the sneak peek into seeing like materialism in gaming. It's huge. However, gaming also provides a unique opportunity to practice generosity. Okay, let's dig into this. This is particularly evident in the emergence of charity streams, in-game donations, and gaming communities focused on support and collaboration. Online platforms such as Twitch, YouTube, and Discord are where gamers regularly interact, and generosity is witnessed in these spaces and can truly be transformative. For example, charity events like Games Done Quick shows how gaming can be a platform for raising money for causes around the world. Gamers come together not just to compete, but to support others, providing an excellent example of generosity in action. I've also heard of League of Legends tournaments. League of Legends tournaments that come together. It's a buy-in, whether it's $10, $50, $100, whatever it may be, and the winner of that tournament, which is supported on a platform, they then take that money and they donate it to a cause, to an organization, whatever it is that they deem needs that money. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. The Maisha Holistic Africa Foundation is a compelling example of how gaming and generosity can be intertwined. An organization focused on bringing holistic well-being and sustainable development to African communities uses a variety of tools to foster change. The foundation recognized the power of gaming as a way to engage with younger generations and create a sense of purpose through intentional, collaborative efforts. By leveraging the global gaming community, Maisha Holistic Foundation not only raises awareness about critical issues such as poverty, education, and healthcare, but also invites gamers to contribute their time, resources, and talents to a meaningful cause. In doing so, Maisha Holistic Foundation models how generosity can thrive even in a digital space dominated by virtual economies and material goals. Now, working with Maisha Holistic Foundation, I do want to clarify very specifically, it might be a little confusing in here how this was worded, which is why I want to make sure to clarify. Maisha Holistic Foundation doesn't directly work with gamers, does not directly work with gamer organizations. What this is meaning is gaming groups such as Lux Digital Church, The Campfire, many individuals who are gamers and who are not gamers pair with Maisha Holistic Foundation for these causes. Not saying Maisha Holistic Foundation themselves has a gaming platform or a gaming community. Maisha Holistic Foundation does not have a gaming community specifically. They just work with people who are within the element of gaming, who want to bring a deeper purpose to gaming. So I just want to make sure I get that out of the way, because that was worded kind of confusing as I was reading through it. And if I'm kind of confused on it, I know I'm not big brained, but like I still want to clarify just to make sure we're all on the same page, just to make sure. All right, gaming offers another unique opportunity for generosity in the form of giving time. This is huge, rather than money. Many game developers and players, through the act of creating and sharing content, offer resources that improve others' experiences. Whether it's guiding a novice player through a challenging level, offering strategic advice, or even donating in-game items to players in need. These acts of generosity promote a culture of mutual support and growth within gaming ecosystems. By acting intentionally in these spaces, players can foster a generous spirit that transcend the individualistic tendencies of many gaming environments. This reminds me, back when I played RuneScape, I'm dating myself here, back when I played RuneScape, all right, this is a long time ago, I was part of a group of people. The guilds really didn't exist in RuneScape at this time, But it was pretty much a guild. It was a group of people that came together, that, did certain events together, as well as collected resources, went PKing, all of these different things. And it was a very generous community, because what we would do is whenever someone new came to this guild, because again, guilds didn't exist at the time, we would give them resources right out the gate. If they're a brand new player, we would give them pickaxes, armor, weapons, food, all these different things that they needed in order to get started. I mean, we're not saying we're going to just all of a sudden boost them up a bunch of levels and just grind through and give them things for free, but we would give them the tools and the knowledge necessary to send them on their way to be contributing to the community. Now, can we say it was absolute pure generosity? No, because we still did want our community and our guild to be good at the game. But it is still, in that asset, a generous act. Because instead of just being like, hey, we're going to teach you everything, now go do, we're going to not only teach you, but then give you the resources needed to go on your way to get better at the game. So that's where the generosity comes in. The initial idea isn't exactly generous because we want our guild to be great. So obviously we want to make sure that you're sitting good right out the gate. The generous part of this is when we're not only giving you the information, but we're also giving you the tools necessary to continue on, to continue to grow. The other thing, one more little tangent on this guild, that we would do is if you did go out to PK and you did die, which does happen in RuneScape, we would replace the items lost, such as armor and weapons. So for example, we had a group of individuals, I was one of them, where I maxed out my smithing and mining, just because that's what I like to do. So I would make the highest tier armor for those that died in the events, because the last thing you want is to go out, lose all your stuff, and the guild's like, well, you don't have anything, peace, better luck next time. No, we build them back up, which means if someone died and lost their equipment, I would go out, mine the resources, build the armor and weapons, smith them for them, and give them to them. I wouldn't charge them a penny. And that's how this ran, and it ran beautifully, and it was a very tight-knit community. And it's just something that, so long ago, you kind of forget these things, but then as I'm reading through, I'm like, whoa, there are things like that, have been communities like that. But then how do we integrate those old ideas to the new world? Because I will be honest, things back then were very much less materialistic than they were now. It was still there, don't get me wrong. It was still prevalent. But now, with microtransactions and in-game cosmetics, whoo, so much more. So much more. All right, let's continue on. While the Bible provides a framework for understanding generosity in spiritual and ethical terms, many non-religious texts also provide insights into the value of generosity in a more secular context. One such work is The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. This beloved children's book offers a simple yet profound message about selflessness. The story revolves around a tree that gives all it has to a boy throughout his life. The tree gives its apples for the boy to sell, its branches for him to build a house, and ultimately, its trunk for him to use as a seat. Though the tree's generosity is unconditional and boundless, the book also subtly critiques the imbalance of giving. The boy over time takes more than the tree can offer, and eventually the tree is left a mere stump. The Giving Tree is a poignant reminder of the importance of balance in generosity and the potential for exploitation when giving is done without consideration of one's limits. In the context of gaming and materialistic environments, this story challenges us to think about generosity in terms of sustainability, both for the giver and the community. Now, The Giving Tree was one of those where I read as a kid and I was like, wow, this is a really good book, both artistically as well as story. It was impactful as a child. Now I go back and I read this story as a grown adult and I'm like, dang, I'm getting the feels here, because holy cow, this is hitting hard. Wow. And such a simplistic children's book, it's still impactful, and I'm not a kid anymore. And when it goes and talks of generosity without over giving. So there is a difference. It's the idea of the difference between fasting and starvation. If you fast without prayer and intentionality, it's just starvation. You're not actually doing anything but withholding yourself from eating food, which does nothing for anybody. Same thing comes with generosity. If you give generously without intentionality and without the understanding of where that money is going and what it is doing and what impact it's having, then you're just throwing money at random things that may not actually be for good causes. Whenever I'm giving to a cause, I always do my research. I always look into it and make sure that it is a cause that's worth giving to. Because last thing you want to do is get herded into giving money to something that you actually don't believe in or want anything to do with. A lot of times you hear of church hurt where people have been sucked dry of all their financial means because they were promised some eternal salvation because they gave everything they had. And at the end of the day, it is good to be generous. It is biblical to be generous. It is important for us to give and to help others. But at the same time, we are also not supposed to give to the point where we ourselves are now starving and homeless and unable to help others. Because if we are starving and homeless, we cannot spread the love and spread the light and help those in need, because now we are one of those in need. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying when people fall and are homeless and do become in need that they're all of a sudden thrown from God's kingdom. Absolutely not. God specifically states that the least of his get the kingdom of heaven. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing there. But we need to be there as a community to raise them back up through our generosity. And it's a cycle that happens, because then if I fall and if I become homeless, I become in need, then that community is there to raise me up as well, like I have raised them. Because that's what a community is. We are there for each other. But we also don't take, we give. There's a very large difference between taking and giving. And we need to keep that in mind when we're being generous, because sometimes that can happen, where all of a sudden you've given to a cause and you're all of a sudden like, wait a minute, I gave you $100 and only $1 went to that cause? No, I don't want that. That makes no sense to me. So we need to make sure that even in being generous, we're also not being deceived in doing so. It's a great point that was brought up there. The philosopher Albert Schweitzer, has a very long last name. It sounds short, but this is a big old last name. So I'm hoping I pronounced it right. I apologize if I did not. If I did not, someone correct me by all means. I appreciate it. The philosopher Albert Schweitzer, known for his work on the ethics of reverence for life, also spoke extensively about generosity. In the Philosophy of Civilization, he wrote, "The only real life is one that is lived in the service of others. There's no happiness in seeking one's own advantage. The true joy of life comes from realizing that we can make a difference, that we can give of ourselves to others in ways that are meaningful and lasting." I like that. Schweitzer's thoughts encourage us to view generosity as a service to others, one that transcends mere material transactions. His perspective aligns with the idea that true fulfillment comes not from self-interest, but from contributing to the well-being of others. In a gaming culture where individuals may focus on achieving personal success, Schweitzer's philosophy reminds us that the real joy comes from contributing to the collective good. Extremely important. We've been touching base on that pretty much all throughout this at this point. And I love that it just keeps kind of coming around full circle, just keeps going and going and going. Like, let's really hammer this in about generosity, how important it really is. Because it's kind of funny how everything's kind of coming back to community. It's interesting, right? Something to think about. It's really interesting. One of the key tenets of Maisha Holistic Foundation is intentionality. In a world often driven by consumerism and short-term gains, Maisha Holistic Foundation focuses on a long-term solution that is rooted in community and purpose. The foundation works towards empowering individuals by creating opportunities for education, healthcare, and economic growth. So important, absolutely important. Necessities, we need these things. Its commitment to holistic well-being recognizes that generosity isn't just about financial donations. It's about building sustainable systems of care and support. Again, bringing it back to the community. Through programs that aim to address pressing issues such as clean water, food security, and access to education, Maisha Holistic Foundation's generosity is evident in its practical approach to development. Moreover, the foundation understands the true change that comes from within communities. And as such, it fosters a sense of ownership and accountability. This intentional approach is what makes Maisha Holistic Foundation's model of generosity so powerful. It goes beyond giving for the sake of giving. We already talked about this. Oh my gosh, this is so good. And instead focuses on creating lasting and meaningful change. Let's go. I'm loving this. The work of Maisha Holistic Foundation is also driven by a deep sense of purpose, which helps guide the organization's effort to both tangible and intangible ways. It's easy to give in a materialistic world, but true generosity lies in knowing why one is giving. We already kind of touched base on this. The people behind Maisha Holistic Foundation are motivated by a desire to impact lives in a positive and lasting way. Recognize that generosity in its highest form is an act of service and humanity. Wow. It's absolutely amazing. Intentionality is key. And just working the short while that I have, a little over a year with Maisha Holistic Foundation and sponsoring children, it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing to see the life change that happens, because we're not only doing on the campfire, we're tiny fish compared to the impact that's being made by Lux Digital Church and River Crossing Church and all these different organizations that are coming together with Maisha to sponsor these children. Absolutely phenomenal. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe that within the last year, there have been over 250 children sponsored at Maisha Holistic Foundation due to the efforts of Lux Digital Church, River Crossings, and again, the small fish, Lux Digital, or not Lux Digital, my apologies, the campfire. So it's one of those where even as a small fish though, that doesn't take away the impact and the importance that we're doing here to sponsor these children. But it's amazing to see the ability to grow in these communities, see these children getting an education, being taken care of, as well as the impact that Maisha is having, where they're taking children out of these very hostile familial environments, bringing them to a safe place, and protecting them, educating them, feeding them, clothing them, all of these amazing things. But it's also great to see the expansion. Within this last year, they've built an entirely new dormitory, a whole nother dormitory to house more children within this organization so that they can be taken care of as well. So growth is being had. They're not just taking the money and giving it to what they already have. They're looking to the future. They're growing the community. They're building up so that they can help those children in need. And it's absolutely beautiful to be able to see that. And as you get plugged in here, as you get to see those changes, we post them as we go. Lux Digital Church posts them as they go. The Campfire, we do our best to post them as those changes happen, or at least give you the links to the documentaries to show you what is happening. And if anybody in the comments would like to see these documentaries that Lux Digital Church has created to show people the impact and what's happening, please comment. And what I will do is I will post you that link so you can go see that documentary. I'll also probably, if I can remember it, I will post a link to the documentary in the description, if I can remember it. I will do my best. But if not, comment, and I will post that link so that you have access to it. Because it's an absolutely amazing and honestly life-changing documentary. It's amazing. And it's not that long. It's only maybe 10, 15 minutes. It's very short. So it's not like you're going to give up a whole day just to see this documentary. I assure you. All right, where was I? That was quite the tangent. We gotta bring it around. As we continue to navigate a world that places significant value on material possessions, success, status, the change of living generosity remains present. Generosity requires intentionality, purpose, and understanding that true wealth is not measured by what we accumulate, but by how we contribute to the well-being of others. The rise of online communities, such as those in the gaming world, present both challenges and opportunities for generosity. While these communities can perpetuate materialism, they also offer a platform for individuals to practice generosity on a global scale by fostering a mindset that prioritizes connection, community, and selflessness. It is possible to counterbalance the individualism often associated with gaming and materialism. A lot of times materialism in games, it really comes down to status more than anything. It really comes down to, hey, I can afford this $500 skin, cosmetic, and you can't. And that's what makes me special, better than you. But that's not what we need. That's not what we need to strive for, because that divides us. It pulls us apart. It creates an us and a them, and that is not constructive for this world, whether it's digital or physical. So it's very important, like it's saying, that yes, we live in this materialism as gamers, and it is difficult to pull ourselves from it because it's integrated into games. It's not just us. It's built into the game because they want to exploit that to get money, because that's how games run, is money. So being able to take that, recognize it, and pull yourself out of that materialism is so hard, but so crucial. And that's why we need communities to help build people up and pull them out of that materialism. These communities coming together to help you. You're not on your own. You don't have to pull yourself out of this materialistic mentality by yourself. We work together as a community to do this, to become generous in other ways. Like, for example, next time you're in the shop, say League of Legends, and hey, I see this $25 skin that I want to buy, maybe a first little step there is, hey, I am going to buy this skin for $25 because I really want this skin. But maybe what I do is I give another $5 to sponsor a child in Kagadi, Uganda, to help a homeless shelter or a food pantry. So yes, I am still spending that $25 on this skin because I want it. But then I'm also like, okay, I need to take a step towards generosity here. And you take that first step. You're like, hey, I'm now going to take $5. So $30 total. I'm going to take $5 out of that $30 and give to something generously and wholeheartedly. Again, whether that's to sponsor a child in Kagadi, Uganda, whether it's to give to a food pantry or a homeless shelter. Whatever it may be, as long as it is one step forward in generosity and not purely an act of selfishness of this is what I want and I'm going to take it. And just watch how it radically changes how you view life, how you view gaming, and truly brings a deeper purpose to that gaming. It's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Whether through religious teachings, philosophical ideas, or organizations like Maisha Holistic Africa Foundation, generosity plays a vital role in building a more compassionate and connected and purposeful world. It is through the intentional act of giving, with a focus on community and purpose, that we can transcend the pull of materialism and live lives filled with meaning and love. Generosity in all its forms offers a pathway to a brighter future where every act of kindness contributes to the collective good. This is something that not only applies to the online space, but transcends the online and the in-person. This is something that you can take from your gaming experience, take from your first step of generosity, and pull that from the gaming world and implement it into your daily life. Or vice versa. Take it from your daily life and then pull it in to the gaming world to change that community, to change that environment, to create a generous community in the gaming world that actually genuinely cares for others and their well-being. It's so important. This intentionality is absolutely crucial. Now let's take what we have talked about here. Let's take the discussions we have had, the thoughts that have been provoked, the questions that we may have brought to the front of our mind during this. Let's take that fire and let's go out. Let's take it and let's do something with it. Take those first steps of generosity. Take that fire and burn a bonfire of your own. I'm saying bonfire because we need to be bright, of your own in your communities out there, whether it's here at the campfire or your own community. And start that first step with the entirety of that community towards generosity. And again, this isn't just monetary. This is of your time, your talent, your treasure. Those are the things we like to say: time, talent, and treasure. Take that and go. Go out and do. It's important to learn. It's important to digest, but it's also very important to act. We must be doing these things. And I think that as we all go out there and start making these first little steps towards generosity, this world, both digital and in person, is going to get so much brighter. It's going to take time. It is not a one-day fix-all. This is going to take time. But as we go out and keep lighting these smaller fires throughout the digital space, throughout the physical space, it's going to get so much brighter. And eventually, there's going to be so much light out there that village on the hill, that town on the hill, that emits so much light to us, is going to be drowned out by the light that is had everywhere. Because that light on the hill is no longer a light on the hill. That light on the hill is just the light that is everywhere within us and around us. That's something we all can say that striving for is a beautiful thing. Because as we're generous to others, we're loving on others, we're building community with others, that light gets so much brighter. And as we always end it, if you have not heard it today, you have heard it here. You are loved, you are appreciated. I'm so absolutely grateful and thankful that you are part of our community here around the campfire. Because it is you guys around this fire that make an absolutely beautiful and loving place. You guys spread that love and spread that light. You share your story and you listen to mine. And that's what makes this relationship absolutely beautiful within this community. Now again, go and take that light. Because I appreciate all of you being here, listening to my story, taking what it is we've talked about here, really thinking on them. Again, I appreciate you, fam. Peace. I want to take this moment to thank you for being part of our community around the fire here. I want to let you know that if you would like to contribute to the mission here, to sponsor a child in Kagadi, Uganda through Maisha Holistic Foundation, or to just allow us to update our equipment, pay for some of the programs that we use to edit these videos and get out there, or for a future mission trip throughout the country, then by all means go to a Ko-Fi page. It's in the link below. It's also in my profile. That's going to allow you to help us do the things we do, allow us to go out and help and love on others, as well as sponsoring children in Kagadi, Uganda continuously. If you would like to give to any of these things, just make sure in the note when you give on our Ko-Fi page, hey, I want this to go to Maisha Holistic Foundation. Hey, I want this to go to your next mission trip. Hey, I want this to go to you guys so you can update your equipment. Or, hey, I know I use a lot of programs. This will help with the monthly fee for that. Put in the note of the donation exactly what it is for. Because again, I want to make sure that if you're looking to donate to sponsor a child here, like we are already doing with Vinny and Trinity, then please let me know, because I want to make sure that that money goes exactly where it is supposed to go. But again, check out our Ko-Fi page on my profile as well as in the description. Thank you so much for taking the time. And again, remember as always, you are loved.